Here at Veteran Trash Talk, we actually vet our sponsors. We don't just take their money and run like a Butter Bar lieutenant lost on the land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op. Chaotic, confusing, and full of obstacles that make no damn sense. That's where Corey and his team come in. They're like the QRF of home loans, ready to pull you out of the chaos and guide you to the best program for you. And trust me, they'll answer all your questions. Yeah, even the dumb ones. Whether you're a salty vet or fresh out of barracks still trying to figure out where your TA-50 went. Great service, solid rates, and a team that actually understands the military life. That's why all of us here at Veteran Trash Talk trust them to do right by every veteran in their family. Ready to lock it in? Give Corey a call or shoot him a text at 808-699-7874. That's 808-699-7874. Don't wait. Unless you like overpaying and getting treated like an FNG. The Veterans Mortgage Source is powered by Canopy Mortgage, LLC. All loans are subject to credit and property approval.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
And so my honesty cap is dedicated to a little, we'll call it a public service announcement for civilians and other people in the military. There are a few people that you should always take their stories with a grain of salt. Vegans, CrossFitters, and special operations guys that tell you that they were special operations without being prompted. The first thing they say is, yeah, I used to be soft. Right. The only unicorn in that entire group is like a special operations guy that was like a vegan and did CrossFit. That guy's probably going to stay quiet for a little bit longer because he's confused as what he should talk about first. That's the only reason. Right. Anybody that says that they were soft without being prompted or without it being like a normal part of your communications is probably either an enabler or going to tell you a bunch of stuff that's not exactly true.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What's up, Gruntworks Nation? Big Earl. You heard Dave talk. You heard Buddy talk. Now, Buddy's all about, he is a Green Beret and he's Special Forces and yada, yada, yada. But he will not tell you that unless, he really, really likes you and he's made dinner for you. However, what Veteran Trash Talk does is we bring a lot of light to the veteran community, the first responder community. We promote that what we're doing well, all right, whether we're running for office, we started a business, nonprofit, all those things. Veteran Trash Talk is a super clean page. We got Gruntworks if you want to go there and raise a little hell a little bit, but we are here to promote veteran-owned businesses. So the show you are about to watch is a veteran or veterans or a spouse of a veteran or a child of a veteran that's doing great things in the community, and we need your help promoting them and getting them all the success that they need. All right, guys, enjoy the show.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What is up, Gruntworks Nation? Welcome to Season 4, Episode 6 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is retired Army officer and author Clay Novak. And joining me today is the Big Earl. And where's Buddy, Nick?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, we do this every Saturday minus holiday weekends at the exact same time. We've been doing it for 4 years, and he's all of a sudden. I mean, we've shouted his praises from among the mountaintops of how he does shows from rivers. Sometimes he's sitting in the middle of a river doing a show with his phone. But I hope nothing bad.
Earlier? Wasn't he pressing us earlier because he wanted to discuss things today on the show and everything? And now
he started to change. Like something's going on. Something's weird because he started he started worrying about the script, And I'm like, buddy, it takes me 30 seconds to write the script. I have to change the guest's name. I write something stupid on it. I send it out. Like
we love you, buddy. We love you.
It's just an order. Yeah, but something's wrong. Uh-oh, your mom's watching. What's up, Dave's mom? So
hey, mom.
Yeah.
Love you. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah. How y'all doing today? Happy Saturday, man.
Yeah, happy Saturday. How's the weather by all you guys? It's hot by us. Hot in SoCal.
It's 90 today, bro. It was 90 yesterday. It's beautiful out here, man. It's beautiful. The pool's heating up. It's like 67 already. So I've been swimming, still a little too cold for most, but I'll jump in. I don't care.
Killing me.
Yeah.
You're killing me. I'm outside of Chicago.
Look, gross.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. It's 32 degrees, and we might get snow.
No. Oh, no.
Flatlanders.
I'm in Arizona, so it's nice out here. Yeah.
See, and this is what we always talk about. I was going to write a book, until I went to go work at Nickel Co. and I realized just how dumb the POI for NCOs are. I was like, eventually NCOs will take over the Army because, back in the day when the officers were the only people that could read, there was a need for it. But it's like now, we all have degrees, by the time we get a lieutenant, I have a bachelor's working on my master's. I got 10 years in it. And I'm like, what do I need this nerd for? Right. So I thought we're going to do this. Right. So I'm going to write a book on how this is going to happen, a journal article or something. And then I went to Nickel Co. and realized how stupid we are. I'm like, we need officers, bro. This is what, and I guarantee you some general was smart enough.
PowerPoint slides, man.
Right. Some general was smart enough to.
I learned PowerPoint real fast.
Hey, look at this guy.
Yeah.
Some general was smart enough to give the sergeant majors what they asked for. Was like, no, give it to them. Let them fucking eat themselves up.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about how I thought NCOs were going to overpower leadership, and then I went to Nickel Co. and realized how stupid the NCOs are. And I'm like, we
gave up all that.
But but you were late. I just got rejuvenated. I just got re-energized in this thought because here's a bunch of retired NCOs living in awesome ass areas because we're smart. And then you got a guy who's living in Chicago, all that time and leadership and wisdom you gained, and you moved to Illinois.
I grew up here.
I grew up in Wisconsin. Nope.
I can't listen. I moved back to family. Is really what it boils down to.
You could have moved them to you.
Yeah, not a chance. You couldn't pry my family out of Chicago.
That's true. The Midwesterners, they're not leaving. They're not leaving.
Unless they're the Bears or the Cubs. My bad.
Yeah. You're good. How's the Gary Bears doing? So
listen, no big surprise. No big surprise, but the Illinois legislature jumped up on Friday, rolled out the red carpet. They're moving mountains. They're making financial deals to try and keep. Now they're going to leave the city, but they're probably going to move to Arlington Heights right outside the city. But they'll probably stay in Illinois.
You mean where they bought the $200 million property?
Yeah, the old racetrack. Yeah, the old Arlington Heights racetrack.
I wanted to move there, but Illinois couldn't figure it out.
the state wasn't going to make it financially, viable for them to stay. So they bought the property, and it was an old horse track that, went defunct, and it's the perfect place for a stadium. But they want to do what every other major sports franchise and sports ownership wants to do. They want subsidies from the state because they know they're going to bring in income, right? So they work the deal. It's all financial. And basically Illinois told them to, go fuck themselves. And the Bears called their bluff.
Didn't all they want was a dome? At first?
And the taxes.
It's the
property
taxes. It was a subsidy, and it was really kind of a tax exemption for a significant period of time. And that's really what they were asking for. And Illinois and J.B. Pritzker said no. And Indiana was like, "We'll do it. What do you guys want? We'll give
every state next to moronic governments is like, we'll take you, Elon Musk. We'll take you, Chicago Bears.
Exactly
we'll take
right.
the extra $500 million a year in revenue. Come on, let's go." But
100%.
these stupid socialists are like, "Oh, we're going to tax them. Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye." So
yeah, and so the McCaskey family, which is descendants of George Halas, they've owned the Bears since the beginning, and they said, "Fine, we'll go." And they called the state's bluff, and now Illinois is jumping through their ass.
Way to go, buddy! Way to just jump on and then just talk about the
That's
Bears.
what you
We
get,
have
buddy.
a sports podcast
Hey,
Saturday morning.
We had a sidebar while you were talking. We're still listening to you, obviously, but we had a sidebar. But he's like, "Do I who's the guest? Is he cool?" And
Well,
I'm
I
like,
didn't
"Bro,
realize
you know
it was
him.
a major
You know
pullback.
him."
Say anything on the fucking thing, and not a huge deal. He doesn't look
I
the
didn't
same.
recognize him either, buddy. I didn't recognize him either. Like I
I
did
saw
when
the
Nick was like, "You
505
know him, Dave."
I never 505 shit behind him, and I was like, I should know this person. But
Hey, you were in 505 for 22 years.
yeah.
You were a sergeant first class when I came here as a private. Yep. I'm joking. You were a staff sergeant.
No, he was a staff sergeant.
At
We
least
all
a
made
staff.
7 together.
With Sergeant Major, and then came down to you motherfuckers level.
What's up,
Yeah.
Sean? Wayne Hunter. Oh, okay. 76.
He's
Nice.
the new home of the Space Force, 76 in
Yeah.
Huntsville. Yeah, there's a lot of money
Air
moving
Force
that
guy
little
is on
town.
too. Sweet.
Yep.
Well, I
Air
was going to
Force
get
guy.
into a conspiracy, and then I wasn't
do
after
it.
Buddy had reached
No?
out to us
Yeah.
because, I feel like that's a hot take. And then Buddy was late, so I was going to do it. But now I guess we'll skip it because I want you guys to educate me. I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of pro what happened in Iran, and like the other side is saying we shouldn't be doing this. So I don't really have a massive take on it.
What
But
other
I
side
know
is
Buddy
saying
Buddy
should
was
not
messaging us already. Like he wants to talk about it. Buddy's been, looking into this all day. Otherwise, you wouldn't have messaged us. So give us your take, or what's your take? What's going on there? I think the Supreme Leader, they schwacked him, right? As of like an hour ago, from what
Actually,
I saw, which is great.
Supreme Leader?
Yeah.
Did they get him? Or
Yeah, confirmed. He's dead.
Confirmed. Is it confirmed?
They had
Okay.
their foreign minister. So was it CNN or ABC was interviewing their foreign minister, like Iran's foreign minister today, and he was like, "Yeah, maybe they may have gotten one or two, but for the most part, we're all good." And I was like,
The count right now is 40 key leaders.
Yeah.
That's what I saw, including
The Ayatollah.
Yeah, he's gone. Ayatollah's dead.
That's a
Yeah, who was
shame.
that? Was that Baghdad Bob or whatever? When he's like, the Americans are nowhere near the capital, and the Abrams goes rolling
Thanks for
by
driving
behind
by.
them.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Well, I mean, I think it'll be interesting where it goes, because now they've left a power vacuum, and they've left a lot of chaos.
So yes and no. I agree with
There's
you.
a lot of Persians in that country.
So they, if you go back to the history of this, 79, right? Iran was a very modern nation, very westernized, blue jeans and rock and roll music and all that good stuff.
Any skirts, hair out.
And then there was a youth movement, frighteningly enough, that was the revolution, right? And it was hardline Islamists. And so they ousted the Shah, who was, a royalty, was a king. They ousted him. They emplaced, the Ayatollah as the supreme leader. They put a pseudo democratically elected, government in place, which was really just eye candy. And then, they got what they got for the next 45 years. And, and so now, you've got the opposite happening. You've got another youth movement. You know, all those people who did that are in their 60s now. But you've got a youth movement now that's like, hey, we're tired of living like this. So they're done, and they've had it. And so what was it? 3 weeks ago they started protesting,
Right.
And then shots started getting fired.
It was something like 31 out of like 35 or 6 provinces that were protesting. And then, the interesting thing is that, like I said, with taking out 40 of their key leaders and leaving all that chaos, it's going to be hard for them to quell any type of. It gives the protesters an opportunity to take hold where they need to take hold. And I wonder.
My biggest thing is always like, what happens then, right? Like we saw it with Iraq, and then we saw it with Afghanistan. Like when we're there, like if we do end up putting boots on the ground to support, the building Iran back up, and then the minute we leave, like
I don't think we're
what's our valid reason for doing it? Like why are we? We're not going there to liberate the Iranian people. I mean,
I don't think we need to. I think they'll liberate themselves. They're smarter than the Iraqis. They're way smarter than the fucking Afghans. Yeah, they can read.
So though?
The
they
point
have colleges and shit.
That's a kind of a side quest type situation. First of all, the point to killing all of their leaders is also side quest type shit, but it gives the protesters the opportunity to take over and install a new government. That being said, we don't have to. Private Schmeckley doesn't have to be there to install a new government. If we learned anything from Iraq and Afghanistan, it's that keeping privates and specialists out of the country is probably the best idea, because all they do is make more terrorists.
And that's a great point. That's why I mentioned that. Is this different? Are we going to handle this differently?
There may be people there, other groups there that will help and kind of guide left and right limits, and make sure that humanitarian stuff is, because the easiest way for them to lose global support is to start doing some crazy shit.
You've got the
royal family still in asylum.
Yeah. Well,
you got the Shaw's son, who has been for the last 3 months, has been very active, very public, who's waiting, and that's the guy that they're expecting to come in, reestablish, the pseudo royalty, whatever you want to call it, and really kind of tamp down the stupidity. But and I know, like, we wouldn't have done this had we not had intel assets on the ground. The agency's probably there, among others, that are going to guide through and control this entire thing.
Yeah, and the other reports were that they were within 6 days of having a dirty bomb, and they have the missile technology to deliver that bomb to Europe.
Yep.
They're not very far from having.
They were weeks away from fucking nuclear weapons for the last 20 years. And last February, we destroyed all of them. So, I mean, that's just like, that playbook is old, man. That's just like, I don't know.
We literally said last year when we blew up those facilities.
We destroyed all their nuclear facilities.
No,
that was like,
we put them we put them about a year behind. That's all we said. We didn't say that. You can't destroy knowledge, like, unless you kill the people that have it.
You can't destroy nuclear fission, right?
Yeah. So they have to build another plant, and most of them were pretty.
You get my point, though. Like, it's always been like there's been they're a week away, or they're a month, or they're a year. It's been the same playbook for 20 years with Iran. They're always they're that close. They're right there. It's like it's always the take. I mean, just like Iraq was the take with fucking weapons of mass destructions, right?
No, it hasn't been until the last.
Hey, let me go on that one because
I
said this when I was, we were in our drunk barracks days, and we were all geopolitical experts, as like staff sergeants, and it's like, like we're like, what are we doing? Why are we going to Iraq? And I was like, and I just had this theory back in the day. All right, go back to 2008. It's like, why are we even in Iraq, Afghanistan? I'm like, you do know, I think we're just surrounding Iran. I'm like, I honestly think we're just surrounding the biggest threat in the region. Like, and we're starting to get bases and piling up, because when Iran retaliated today, how many different countries did they hit? Like 7?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They hit our bases in 7 different countries. It's like we have just been geopolitically over the last 30 years putting people
Staging
just
ourselves
closer to the like. It's like, yeah, we're gonna put all the pressure in the world.
The only hole in that is the fact that we pulled out of Afghanistan, a couple of years ago.
But they don't like Iran.
Well, they don't. But it was a good buffer in the sense that, when we were all in Baghdad, the biggest thing we worried about was EFPs. And we all knew that the components of those things, especially that copper disc, was coming from Iran, right?
Yep.
You know what you didn't have in Afghanistan? EFPs. And you know why? Because the Iranians knew that if they exported them to Afghanistan, everybody in the world would have all the evidence they needed to know that they were the ones behind it. Like, it was clear as day. There was only ever one EFP in Afghanistan, and go figure, it was in fucking Herat, which is right next to Iran. And that was the only one there ever was. So that, you're not far off in the fact that we were trying to contain Iran. But truthfully, they had no capability of leaving their borders except with munitions. And that was the part that we were worried about.
And then the Iron Dome too, like the strategic placing of everything. And like, it's like, where are these missiles going to come from that are a big threat to us? Russia, possibly Iran, whatever. Like, so.
Yeah. I don't think they never had intercontinental capability. Like that was never.
Yeah, that's a new thing. That's the newest capability that they're close to getting. Apparently, is intercontinental.
It's the delivery, and that's where it gets nasty. Yes, obviously Europe. Anybody in the region, they hit, like you said, 7 countries today. I got it, but the worry for us is when it goes beyond that. What I really don't like about all this today, and I hate to say this, is if it was just us, or if it was us and the Brits, or us and the French, or the Germans, or pick your fucking European country, then it's remove the regime, give the revolution an opportunity, to set themselves up. Truthfully, as soon as Israel got involved with this, now it has this optic of a religious war versus just the political protective blah blah blah. Now it looks like
that you got all the brand new YouTube, TikTok anti-Semites in America now.
Right. He's right.
He's right. No, but again, it's easy to feel that narrative too, where people just all of a sudden think Israel's got all this power, and like everybody wants to hate Israel now.
They kind of do.
It's like,
we can talk. They kind of do.
We have the power.
I think the optics were bad. I think it would have been better if they had sat, give us access, whatever. But if they'd have sat this one out and not been an active participant in it, the optics are very, very different. But listen, they're the ones probably at the greatest threat in the region. So I understand why they're involved. I just think it gives it a bad look. That's all.
Yeah. So your boy in K-Town wants to know what an EFP is. Yeah, explosively formed penetrator. It's nasty. It cuts a little hole in armor and then sends a.
I know you Air Force guys didn't have to deal with that, brother.
Explosion through it, copper. Devastating to American soldiers, K-Town, and killed a lot of us. So killed a lot of our boys coming from Iran with those things. So I personally don't give 2 shits if anybody in that Iran regime dies. None.
Concur.
None.
Yeah.
Like fucking.
Yeah, no. The thing about the Israelis though, and somebody said, "How do you feel about the UK telling us we're on our own with this one?" That's not what he said. First of all, he said that they didn't have anything to do with helping, but that they 100% agree, and didn't say that they were like never going to do anything. They just said they didn't have anything to do with this one. Yeah. But that being said,
everybody in Great Britain's name Muhammad anyway, so it's not like
the UK has a lot to worry about when it comes to Iran, because they've got a lot of people all over the place that they can't really protect all that much. So if you think that the UK intelligence, that they are Five Eye, they had nothing, that they didn't know any of this was going down.
Yeah.
Come on.
Good luck.
Are we for real right now? Is that what you think that the U.S. just struck a country without letting fucking the UK, France, like all of them know, hey, by the way, you're gonna be seeing some shit in the paper tomorrow. It was us.
Well,
like we did,
and
not a real thing.
And then we, knowing the Book of Earl side of it, to where I get mad if you're on one side of the bell curve. I can't stand if you're polar, right? And you'll have the left wing idiots right now will be talking about how this is unconstitutional and like starting up that base, right? Starting up that base. And then the let me finish the point, buddy. The anti-Semitism, right? Like they're going to start spurring that going right away, right? Like, taking away from the fact that they're not going to like to hear this, but I'm going to make a prediction live that this will not last that long, and Trump's going to come out and see, I told you I could kill this motherfucker in 12 hours and not start another war, right? We're not
right.
Like, no, but watch, he'll do it again. And then it's like, everybody's like, oh, fuck Trump. And they're like, what?
Well, what were they saying 3 weeks ago when Maduro got yanked up? He's starting a war in Venezuela.
Starting a war, unconstitutional. Like, what I am worried about, let's flip the script on the other side of the border, right? The power vacuum with the cartels. Now, that's one that you definitely want to make sure is in order before you take something out. Because those boys got a lot of money and a lot of guns. So it's like that's something you want to make sure that's squared away. Cheers to our rattlesnake bite guy from the ATF that blew the whistle on the Fast and Furious scandal. We had him on the show. That guy was fucking wild. So
well, I would also say what people need to like. They're gonna like. I don't know how long it's gonna be until we start seeing fucking people with blue hairs and nipple rings with fucking Iranian flags talking about the poor fucking Ayatollah and how it's so sad that evil motherfucker is dead. But the fact is, it kind of goes around to the southern border thing again. You know, it's not illegal Mexicans that everybody's fucking super duper worried about. Chinese have been coming through that border. Iranians have been coming through that border. Fucking Hezbollah. Everybody and their brother has been coming through that southern border. And even if only 1% of those people are bad, that's a lot of people.
That's all you need. When I flew out of El Paso after we booked the drone, I flew out of there. And like the Borders and Customs came out with 2 guys handcuffed and said, "Hey, we have 2 undetained, they're be unguarded, like unaccompanied detainees. They'll get met at the next place." And they were fucking Chinese, coming out of El Paso. It's like these dudes.
Yeah. I saw on Sean Ryan, this CIA person was on there, and they said there's I don't know how many hundreds of sleeper cells that are just waiting to be activated throughout the U.S. and like that. It's pretty scary because and he's been the supreme leader. Well, now he can't call for shit anymore, but he was just a couple hours ago or yesterday, like saying to activate those. And buddy, you're 100% right, dude. Like depending on what state you're in and what area, you can cause a lot of damage real fast.
And it's been going on for a long time. Like, I was at Bliss 2. I was 1st Armored Division and let's see.
I don't know that I would say that out loud, but go ahead.
Yeah, well, sometimes the Army sends you places, right? But
you don't have to brag about
13 to 15, I think, or maybe 12 to 14. Either way. So they've got the EPIC down there, which is the El Paso Intelligence Center, which is a joint multinational interagency.
ATF North, FBI, everybody's down there.
It's Federales from Mexico work there. They got everybody's in that joint. And I got some briefings from them. And again, this is over 10 years ago. And they were talking about IRGC, pushing sleeper cells across the border. Again, that was 10 years ago. So, it's not only are there a lot of them, but there have been a lot of them here for a lot longer than we realize, which means they're super embedded. They have plenty of support network built. Like this is a capability that I think is a bigger concern than most people realize or even want to acknowledge.
Yeah. And like I said, what's going to be both ironic and not funny, but tragic is when, ironic is when those protesters start protesting and then some fucking Iranian sleeper cell suicide bomber blows them the fuck up. Like it's just going to be like It's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be a good time.
Yeah.
Maybe we can send a message and kill a bunch of gay people at the same time. Perfect. A Muslim, an Islam dream.
I'll tell you, one of the probably one of the coolest things I've done since I've retired is I was military consultant on season 3 of Reacher. And I got that through a friend. It was I really kind of lucked into it, but probably the person that I worked with the most. So I advised on like sets and special effects and some other stuff. But the lady who ran all of that is like, her family is Iranian and she still has family in Iran. And so her and I are like social media buddies, and we've been talking for the last 3 weeks. And I can tell you right now that every Iranian that's in the West is fully in support of everything that happened last night.
100%.
You will never get an argument out of an Iranian about what we did in the last 24 hours.
Well, that was the same thing about the Venezuelans that are not in Venezuela. They were all, not all, can't say all. There were probably a couple that were pissed, but for the most part,
Sith deals in absolutes, buddy.
What you saw was a bunch of people that were very happy that it had happened.
Yeah,
but time will tell. Time will tell. But
only the white
just, like you said, buddy. Hopefully, we just handle it accordingly. Like hopefully we can actually Iran can benefit from it, and the right people are put in place, and right people take charge. Otherwise, and a year from now or however long, and it just collapses again, and it was totally not worth it.
When the big O was going to reduce trade regulations with Cuba, you know who the biggest protesters of that were? Fucking Cubans in America. They're like, "Are you nuts?
Yeah,
like you're gonna give that guy money? Like, are you nuts? Like it's just like, oh, it's crazy."
Well, the other thing is that the cons to this are that it could go completely awry and off the rails, and shit could get real bad real quick.
Yep.
The pros to this are that if we can figure out a way, and if an Iran can figure out a way to have a fucking at least semi-peaceful transfer of power over to a much more moderate, non-clerical government, it will stabilize that entire region.
Yeah, and I think there is a difference. I think there's probably a larger percentage of Iranians that totally want change than there were, let's say, in Iraq or like in Afghanistan, right? I think in Iran there really is. I don't have a graph. I don't have.
Again, my opinion is Iraq and Afghanistan we're just stepping stones to this
thing, right? It's not a 50-50 thing over there. I think it's probably like 70 or 80% of Iranians want change over there because they know what life used to be like. But I could be wrong.
Our problem in Iraq was that we went to Iraq. We had no government-wise. There was no fucking plan. It was just go there. And
I still think there was a skull and crossbones plan.
Well, it was, if it was, the plan was to go in there and just wild out, then we figured it out. But if we went there and then just left and not kicked, just because you worked for the Iraqi government did not in fact make you a bad guy. It just made you a guy that worked in the government. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. When you go to a country and you get rid of all the police and all the government workers and you make them like jobless, and then Iran says, "Hey, I'll pay you $100 for every hole you put a bomb in." You know what I mean? Like, you still got to feed your family. You got to figure something out.
Yep.
I mean, and if you changed it over and had them come to the U.S. and they took over and they fired everybody and we were jobless, plus they were an invader at that point because they weren't just leaving. You gonna pay me $100 to do what? I said it while we were in Iraq. Dude, to be an insurgent would be the most fun fucking job ever. Like, I don't even have to work 24 hours a day. Like, I can pick when I want to work and just look for opportunities and then get paid and go home, sleep, play video games all day. I bet.
That's what we did in Iraq anyways.
Set me up. Yeah.
Played video games and went out and shot shit, and then came back and played video games.
Literally what we did in Iraq.
Yeah. Except for when we went out, we had to guess whether or not somebody was going to be out or not. They knew when we were coming. Yeah. All they had to do was watch the gate and then call their homie and they're like, hey, get that RKG. Also came from fucking Iran. Not a huge deal.
Yeah.
Get the RKG out. Time to start throwing it at trucks.
Yeah. Man,
Yeah.
Man.
But anyway.
Well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so now that we've got this all fired up, and we've all now just made everybody watching geopolitical experts on what's been happening in that region for the past 50 years.
Yeah.
You know, but and again, how far back do we want to go to talk about? We're not going to do that. I mean, maybe who knows? Yeah. Okay, I get to our guest. This is awesome. You know, he started coming around my LinkedIn feed. I started seeing videos of him, you know, and he's writing books, and I'm like, I know that guy, right? So added him, and you know, started following him a little bit, and now are you writing your fourth book, and you're done with 3?
Yep.
You're done with 3, writing your fourth book, but more importantly, there was a time where in 2008, you were working under McGuire, right, as the brigade ops. Right. So
was that brigade plans? Yep.
Brigade plans. Yep. And now Buddy was fighting the good fight at the Suge, right? He was hanging out at the trash fill with B code 2505.
Well, actually, so when we got to Baghdad, I was in 2505.
He was.
I was the S3.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But you got moved. You got moved to brigade, right?
No.
I
was
okay.
always in the
battalion.
battalion.
Okay. Yep. I just wanted to make sure I get my shit talking here right, because I got a point. So yeah, you were still with 2P, which is even worse. So there was this little platoon that was called Charlie Company, second platoon. That was at Bella Diat, and we were all by ourselves. All right, we didn't have food, right? We didn't have anything to drink. We didn't have any fucking running water. Right? We all had dysentery. It was for like 3 months, because we got attached to Delta, but then Delta Company and Charlie Company didn't talk of who was supposed to feed us. So like there was, I
was in Bravo. We didn't have any fucking food either.
Yeah, well, hey, at least Kirkover was up there shooting dogs with you. All right, we didn't get any visitors, right? So hey, like
at one point, Sergeant King came in, and we were like,
I had to hustle with Sergeant Major Ali to get our platoon fed, man.
Yeah, we had to like pay Sergeant Major Ali to go get his fucking bread, right? So
we were stopping on the side of the road buying watermelons.
Now, mind you, there was a major fob with a swimming pool only a click away from us. You know, and I'm sitting here like, what the, like, how? I'm like, this is crazy. But we were doing those 23-hour counter IRAM missions, you know, on the whole glorious fucking Pluto. Yeah,
in
like
the gas dump.
Right. Hey, but to be fair to the brigade, it was 100% effective. Not one IRAM was fired while we were there. So it did work. But anyways, we're sitting here, and this is the time when 573rd shot that lady, and you guys beat Colonel McGuire was on his convoy was out. So you guys all decided to make your TOC ours, like where our little patrol base was. So you come in there, and I'm on they're out. This was my squad's day off. So I'm the sergeant of the guard. And you guys come in, and you came in, and Dave was the weapons squad leader. He never really went out. So he comes up and he's like, you come in there and you start setting up your computer, and you had all this kind of stuff. And then you had this Mountain Dew, and we were staring at you, right? Just like, don't give a fuck who you are. You're about to go down. Like, I'm getting that dew, bro. Like, and then you're like,
you get that crack from.
Yeah, and you're looking at it like, we're like, hey, I'm like, hey, where did you get that? And you're like, what, the Mountain Dew? I'm like, yeah. And you're like, I got 2 cases in the truck. And I was like, can we go get one? And you're like, yeah. And so, but then I saw, now this is where it turns into a good thing. But again, you just mind you, it started as a bad thing where none of you were fucking feeding us, right? But it just doesn't matter. And then you go, When's the last time you guys had hot chow? I'm like, haven't. and that's when thankfully Dave was boys with Eastman. So like, you know, they were rappers together. Dave was a rapper, Lou was a rapper, right? And so putting that shit down.
Every story has a little bit of truth, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, you only need 10%
Flores
truth.
needs to tell that story. Flores tells that story better, but yeah, we got it situated. Yeah. We got it squared away and got food.
Anyways, we started getting food. We started getting food because of Clay Novak's Mountain Dew, right? That is what, and the lady who sacrificed her life and 573rd took her out so attention could get brought to us that we could eat. But anyways, Clay Novak, author, paratrooper, veteran, welcome to the Trash Talk Hour. Tell us about all these books you wrote and how people can go buy them.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me. You know, like you said, I served with all you guys in 2505. I was a 505th guy for a long time. It is near and dear to my heart, all my time there. My first deployment was 3505 in Afghanistan in 02. And I did, 3 deployments with the brigade. So it's a big deal to me. And what you guys are doing is awesome. So what have I been doing? I retired in 2019. And I dipped my toe into the business world, which I absolutely fucking hated. And I learned very quickly that the principles and the values and the ethics and the morals and all those things that we kind of live off of in the military, like, we're always trying to do the right thing, no matter who gets the credit, right? Like, I mean, it's all that intrinsic stuff that gets built into us. People in the business world do not operate that way. They don't understand it. And they generally do not give a shit about people. So I did it for about 3 years, and then I had to go do something else. But in those 3 years, when I was retiring, I'd heard a lot of horror stories from a lot of people, and a lot, like a lot of guys our age and a lot of guys who'd done 3, 4, 5 deployments like a lot of us had. I walked away from the Army with 100% disability. And a lot of it had to do with a dozen fucking TBIs and a nice solid case of complex PTSD, right? It's the gift. It's the gift for all of us that keeps on giving.
Yep.
But, I reached out to some mentors, General Huggins, General Schweitzer, if you know both of those cats. And I said, hey, listen, what do I need to be worried about as I transition into retirement? And they both said the same thing. They said, listen, your engagement for your brain is going to go down because there's no life like the military life. Like, you don't stay engaged at that high level. Your brain doesn't keep working like it does once you leave and you go into the civilian sector. So you've got to find something to keep yourself engaged. And they both use the word creative. And I never considered myself to be a creative guy. Like, I don't fucking paint. I don't sculpt. You know what I mean? Like, I don't do those things. But a friend of mine who I commanded companies with said, hey, man, you really good writer, like staff writer, put together great products. You should probably write a fucking book. Well, listen, our generation, there's 8 million books about fucking GWAT, right? I mean, you guys probably all know.
Oh, we've had tons of guests.
I have them on the show all the time, right?
This is one of them right here.
Right.
Joe's got a book, Gods of War, with old Colonel Rob.
What up,
Joe?
Joe?
That's a good one. Yeah.
So
I have it laying around here somewhere too. Yeah.
I decided to go the opposite direction. And so my best friend in the world from growing up is a Hollywood guy. Like, he's a writer, director, producer. And he told me, he goes, you should write. He goes, but write fiction, man. He goes, there's no fucking rules. If you want to write about space, write about space. You want to write about diseases, write about diseases, right? So I started writing, but I started writing for me. I wasn't writing for anybody else. I was just writing a story, and I was doing it for my own. It was one of those, like, I got 15 minutes before my next meeting. Well, I'll sit down and I'll write a little bit, or sitting my lunch hour, I'd write a little bit. And so this story started to form as I was writing, and then it just kept building and kept building. And I was probably, I was trying to learn my new job, and so I put it away for a while, but I picked it back up, and then I reread what I had done, and I was like, this could be an actual book. And so I was probably about 220 pages into it, and I was like, I could finish this and make this a real thing. So I finished it, and I started writing another one. But in the meantime, I gave that first book to my dad, who is a voracious reader and is a guy who, like, as a teenager, like, threw me books, Tom Clancy, W.B. Griffin, like, here, read this. And so I learned how to read and learned how to write fiction from those books. And then I gave it to my buddy, the Hollywood guy. And so they were the only ones that had read it. And in the meantime, I'm still writing another book series, like, same main character. And so I kept writing and kept writing. I finished the second book. I wrote a third book. And then my buddy, the Hollywood guy, is like, literally a year later, he's like, listen, man, I've kept my mouth shut, but nobody writes a 300-page book and doesn't fucking do anything with it. He's like, you need to do something with this. So I started looking around at getting it published, and I looked at self-publishing, which I neither had the time, patience, or inclination to pursue. And then I started looking at like the big publishing houses that, Simon and Schuster and like those places. And, my name's not Stephen King or fucking Patterson or any of the rest of those guys. So they really don't have a lot of interest. So I did find something called a hybrid publisher where you essentially pay them a decent amount of money and they do all the hard work. They do the cover design, the page layouts, they do, ISBN numbers, and they're wired into a print house and then distribution through Amazon or whatever. And so I paid that guy and I got my first book, which is titled Keep Moving, Keep Shooting, published in December of 22. And so the main character, now keep in mind, because you guys are going to laugh at me, keep in mind, I was writing for my own entertainment. I had never planned to publish this. So go figure, the main character is a retired infantry lieutenant colonel with a bunch of time in GWAT who spent a bunch of time in the 82nd. Go fucking figure, right?
Got mad. Yeah. Disgruntled.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. Crabby, PTSD. Yeah.
Politics, couldn't make colonel.
Yeah. All that shit. Yep.
Looks like Brad Pitt, though.
Yeah. No, interestingly enough, the guy that in my head, because people ask me all the time, like, so I get a lot of feedback on the book, and a couple of them are never saw the ending coming, which I love as an author. Hearing people say that, it's a very fast read. I hear that a lot. I hear, for a long time, I heard, when is the next one coming out? Because I hadn't published the second or the third.
Good feedback. That's
good
the feedback.
And then the last one was always, when is somebody going to make this a movie or a series, right? But the guy in my head, as I was writing, as much as the main character is really based on me, but the guy in my head, you guys have all seen 13 Hours, right? The guy who played Tyrone Woods in the movie is...
Thanks for the support, Husko.
Right? Hey, man, I appreciate that. That's awesome. But that was the guy in my head as I was writing it. Like, that was the image as I was writing it. So the main character is a guy named Terry Davis, and he's just he's not a SEAL, and he's not a cool Green Beret like Buddy is. And he's
but he's not a SEAL, so that's good.
Right?
He's already up.
He's just a regular Army guy, but he's he's been around the block a few times, and he's retired, and he just wants to fucking live a normal life. But he's hooked up with this chick who's a PhD. She's a Middle East expert, and she still does like government contract work. And she gets notification of a potential domestic terror threat to the United States. And like the rest of us, the dude can't sit idly fucking by, right? So he sticks his nose in, he gets pulled into the whole thing, and the threat turns out to be something very, very different and something that he didn't anticipate. And so that's the first book, Keep Moving, Keep Shooting. So the second book, so I ended up changing publishers for a lot of reasons, but I got into a second publisher, and we republished Keep Moving, Keep Shooting in a second edition. And then I published the sequel, which is Cross to Bear. You can see that, right? That's the cover of Cross to Bear right there. And I should have a copy of it sitting on my desk, and I don't. But then we published the third book, which is a book called Rebellis. And it's a series. It's all based on Terry Davis, and it's all based on this threat to the sovereignty and to the structure and everything within the United States. And I will tell you guys, I wrote them in 2019 into 2020. And if you read those books and you look at what's going on in the country and in the world right now, it will bother you. And it bothers me.
You're Nostradamus.
It bothers me because it was me writing fiction, and a lot of it has actually come to fruition, and it freaks me the fuck out.
Oh yeah, that's like who's the author, Nick? I got his book laying here somewhere. The Sergeant Major that was working in DC. He wrote a sci-fi series. He's like a Green Beret, and he's hunting. He basically hunts pedophiles and stuff.
Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but talking about the human trafficking, he was writing that stuff like before it was popular,
right? So I wrote
Sean Haggerty.
Yeah. So I got these 3 books published, and really Fast and Furious last year.
Yeah.
So I did. I got the 2nd edition of Keep Moving, Keep Shooting was republished last 4th of July, and then Cross to Bear, which takes place in my hometown of Chicago, was published on Labor Day, and then the 3rd book, Rebellis, was published on Veterans Day last year. So Fast and Furious got those 3 out, and working on book 4 now, and working on a few things to get it, more visibility. It's available on Amazon. All 3 of them are available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But now with a better publisher and a better support structure and network, I'm venturing out into doing more. Like I'm getting into book signings and those kinds of things too to get it out. So if you like Jack Ryan, Jack Reacher, Jason Bourne, action, fiction, conspiracy, thriller kind of shit, you will love these books. I promise you.
That's coming true. That seems to be coming true.
Yeah. So
the links are on the chat thread on all of our platforms. So go click on a link. I know Husto's already got a book. Go grab a book for sure. Now, in the Chicago one, does Chicago end up getting destroyed? Because I'll buy it. Like I'll buy all of the books.
There's
because I'm a Wisconsin guy, so we don't like anything down there.
So there's a big shootout. There's a big shootout.
Well, that's every day there. That's every day in Chicago.
And so here's the thing about the Chicago book is the military actually comes in to help fight gang violence inside the city.
Weird.
And I wrote that in 2020. Right?
That's
so
awesome.
Again, it freaks me out a little bit that I wrote that in a fictitious setting and that it came to fruition really not that long afterwards. But that one culminates with a pretty epic firefight downtown, right on the lakefront. And again, it's a great story, but they all read really fast. They're all between 270, 300, 310 pages. I had a guy tell me that he read the first one.
Marines can handle it. Marines can handle it.
Yeah,
yes.
There's no pictures though.
Then it might be an issue.
Yeah.
Might be an issue if you're a Marine. Sorry, guys.
Draw pictures. It's
What's
fine.
that?
Sorry.
Crayons, so they can draw a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be all right.
Yeah.
Sorry,
so
Marines.
I'm working on. They're not available yet on audiobook. I'm working on that next, and then trying to get it infused into Hollywood to see if there's some interest in potentially making it either a movie series or a streaming type series, which would be great.
I'm going to bring you and Buddy out to Hollywood because Buddy and I got to pitch a movie deal to a big time writer out here. I'll bring you out.
Okay. I'm in.
So now we can maybe get 2 things. And if we get his brain working together,
Boom.
You just want to be alone, Buddy? You want it to be separate?
No, we can do it all together. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have a 2P party out here, bringing Hollywood.
He could pump out a book or 2 real quick. He can have 2 different series going at the same time. We just get royalties from one. It's fine.
Yeah, Leatherneck Club of Las Vegas says going to link to order if ever in Vegas, come out and do a book signing here. All right,
Nice.
Perfect. Hey, that's what we do here. Sometimes we got guests that are hits, and sometimes they're not.
Yeah.
Like we got people getting hot with the Clay Novak book.
I
Again,
appreciate
maybe
it. Awesome.
I'll take a little bit of credit that I said Chicago gets destroyed. So that's why people are starting to get turned on about it.
So the geography of the books. So the first book starts out. The guy's trying to be retired. All he wants to do is like go hunt and just live out his life. So it starts very Midwest, southern Nebraska, northern Kansas. It trips down into Tampa, right, and that's kind of where the first book ends. The second book is completely in Chicago, and then the third book starts in North Georgia and then goes up to DC, and that's where that one culminates. And the fourth book I'm working on now starts again in Georgia, but now I'm pushing it out west, and you guys are going to be the first ones to hear this. Nobody else has heard this before, but it's like Jackson, Wyoming, Yellowstone, Grand Teton National Park. So it's going to be a little bit out in the woods. So it'll be a different feel with this one. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know we've had a lot of authors on here, and sometimes they'll hit into this. How did writing or if it did or did not, how did it help you with owning your demons of PTSD?
Yeah, it's so mine being fiction is obviously very different from guys who write nonfiction and they're trying to resolve whatever it is, that they've been through, guys like us, that the things that, have happened to us or in and around us for our career. For me, it was different. So for me, it was, to keep my brain engaged and to keep that quiet time at a minimum, because the way I write, I'm not the guy who writes out an outline or an arc, or I don't plan out. I'm what they call a pantser. And I literally, I think and I write, and I think and I write. And so even when I'm not writing, I'm thinking about the next step or the next parts of the story. So it keeps me, it's a distraction. So I don't go back into those holes that a lot of us, fight to stay out of. That's how I do it. That helps me stay out of the PTSD, the gray areas. That's what I refer to it as. That gray cloud settles and it's everything shit. It's a shit day. Everything pisses you off. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I refer to it as a gray cloud. And so the writing helps me keep the clouds out. And so that's what it did for me.
Yeah. Nice. Hey, I put another link in the chat as well. People are ordering it. Joe Troutman. Like I said, if you haven't read Gods of War, that's a true story. And I said it talks about his time in Iraq with our friend, the Mad Colonel Rob, who's been on the show a bunch of times on the fight shows for sure. But he said he just ordered it. But I put another link in there. Don't click on that one to buy the book. All right. That one is heyjackass.com. That tracks every shooting in Chicago. So
nice.
If you want to see why I hate Chicago, click on that. Right. Yeah. There you go. But it's pretty good.
Plenty of material.
Yeah, Dave, what do you got? What are you just being quiet over there? You gotta say something.
Who are you talking to? Me or Dave?
Dave.
Oh, I've been listening, dude.
I know.
Yeah. It's been entertaining, man.
Yeah. All right, dude. Well,
now you gotta write a new one with the fucking Ayatollah is fucking actually escapes from Iran, but he comes to the southern border. Fucking Terry Davis.
The Ayatollah of rock and roller.
Got to track him down in some small town in West Texas.
Hey, so I will tell you guys this as well. If you look, so my first book, Keep Moving, Keep Shooting, was dedicated to 3505, the guys that I went to Afghanistan with in 2002. If you look at the dedication in Cross to Bear, the Chicago book, dedicated to 2505 Baghdad 0809.
Awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Fucking to save our life.
Yeah.
Just had boxes of fucking. Did you guys have that damn apple pie? They would drop off like a box of like this individually wrapped.
You guys got apple pie dropped off to you, buddy? That's like a fucking 5-star resort compared to what we got. Right?
What are you talking about? Apple pie.
Pie.
Yeah.
What?
We had fish from the Tigris, bro. That's what we had. All right.
Same thing. I know what you're talking about. We had a whole company, and we got one box of these fucking random ass apple pies that they dropped off, and they were like, I survived. I literally survived that whole deployment on fucking care packages from the States with like bags of soup that we would fucking make in the fucking with our little stove. Yeah.
I always said this is why you make friends with the cooks. So I played basketball with the cooks when we were in Garrison, and the one time we got to stop on Loyalty, right? We stopped there, and I see old Sergeant Washington, and I was like, "Hey, man." He's like, "What's up? Where have you been?" And I'm like 40 pounds, and I'm like, "Hey, you guys got any like charcoal and like frozen meat? Because we had a freezer that worked." And he's like, "Yeah, we got a shit ton of it." I'm like, "Hey, go get the MRAP." And it started just throwing steaks and chicken wings.
Charcoal was legit, man. We stayed at Loyalty for like 3 weeks. That was the best time of my life.
Yeah, man. A super funny story.
It's fucking internet.
Do anything anymore? Is that every time that we went on Loyalty, every single time, the first time we were on Loyalty, one of the other dudes and I scouted around Loyalty and found their freezer Connex. And since we didn't have any food, every time we pulled up there, we would go to that freezer Connex and rat fuck it. We'd steal hamburgers and shit. And then on Saturdays, we took a 55-gallon drum and cut it in half and made a grill out of it.
Yeah, I dug a hole. That's how we cooked our food. I dug a hole in the burn pit fucking thing.
You're fucking pathetic, and you can't
listen.
We didn't have drumsticks.
You were talking to the wrong fucking people. Listen,
look,
I fixed
this part of this story. We pulled up to fucking Loyalty at one point, went into that freezer, and there were racks of fucking steaks that were marinating. I'm talking like racks and racks and racks of steaks. We stole every one of those motherfuckers. And like 2 days later, there was like an email. They were like, somebody stole the fucking steaks for the general. And then they started locking the shit up. And we had so many steaks that we had them just like cooked and over to the side. And we would come in off patrol and just have a cold steak. Happy as shit that we had stolen all their fucking steaks. Every one of those motherfuckers.
So thanks for dedicating the book, but we found our own food, sir. Yeah.
It's been a mystery since. It's been a mystery ever since.
I'm telling you,
put it out.
You guys did not. You should have come talk to me. I'm not joking. Like I got in more trouble. I got into a lot of trouble. I got into more trouble defending guys from our battalion. We had a guy from BCO that came down, and I can't remember this staff sergeant's name. Right, the guy came down. He came down with the laundry convoy. Right, they brought everybody.
You're about to tell, and I can tell you who that was because he was one of my guys.
So he comes down. He's on his last clean uniform, right? And he showers. He's in his only clean uniform. They've dumped everybody's laundry off. He goes to the chow hall, and it is spaghetti, right? So this guy takes his fork sleeve, right, his right sleeve, and he tucks it under like this. So he's eating because he doesn't want to get. In his only clean uniform, he doesn't want to get fucking spaghetti sauce on it. So who sees him? Sergeant Major King, who looks at him and says, I don't know who you are, blah, 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 blah. You don't cuff your sleeves. I want you and your first sergeant and your fucking sergeant major and blah, 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 blah in my office in 20 minutes. So this guy's in a fucking panic, right? He comes over to the battalion headquarters and he can't, Kirkover's not around. He was out somewhere.
Oh, we know where Kirkover was.
Kirkover was running around yelling at other people somewhere.
Yeah. So,
and we know where he was.
Sergeant Major Bauman
actually tried to save a bunch of people during that deployment. King was the fucking devil.
He was. So Sergeant Major Bauman, they found Sergeant Major Bauman, and he says, "Hey, sir, this thing's going on. I don't know what the fuck. I'm gonna go handle it with Sergeant Major King." And I was like, "Nope." He goes, "What do you mean, no?" And I said, "Nope, not doing it. I'm going." He's like, "Sir, right. you don't." So I went over to the brigade headquarters and I had that staff sergeant with me and I fucking sat out there in the waiting area outside of King's office. Right. And the two ops sergeant majors come out and they're like, "Hey, sir, can we help you?" And I said, "I'm just waiting for Sergeant Major King." And they're like, "What for?" And I said, "Because they wanted to talk. He wanted to talk to this guy's chain of command and there's no NCOs around. So I'm here." And they're like, "Oh, hang on." So they go into King's office and he comes out and he goes, "Sir, I don't need to talk to you." I said, "Yeah, you do."
That was fucking evil.
I said, "Yeah, you do." And he goes, "No, it's okay. I'll handle it with Sergeant Major Kirkover." I said, "Nope." And I looked at that staff sergeant. I said, "You can go." And he left. And I said, "Come on, Sergeant Major." And I walked him into his own office and I fucking ripped his ass, man. And I didn't give a shit.
Oh, I would have loved to be a fly on the wall.
So here's the flip.
Every single sergeant major in my 20 plus years, he was
the worst.
So
100%,
hands down.
Well, so I'll tell you two things. So here's the backside of this, right? That happens. I leave. I go down to the battalion. 10 minutes later, Colonel McGuire calls, fucking blows my ass apart. Stay away from his sergeant major and blah blah blah, all this other shit, right? Okay. Fast forward. Do you guys know what happened to Sergeant Major King?
I have heard rumors, but I have never heard a definitive what happened. I have heard that he was having some type of extramarital something.
I know for a fact what happened. We got half of that squad in our platoon the next year. We know exactly what happened.
Well, so I know who it was that he was having the affair with because that individual was assigned to the brigade headquarters. And worse than that lady who was a field grade officer was married to a master sergeant stationed at another installation. So not only did he have an extramarital affair, he did it with the wife of another senior NCO.
Yeah,
we're rolling down a whole nother show. We can just have a Bash King O
We
show.
should call this.
I will be down for that. We will have
80 seconds.
we will have 1,000 people watching that show that I could get tomorrow if we wanted to bash it into a Bash King O party.
His driver said that we were talking to his driver at one point, and we were like, man, must be nice, just a sergeant major's driver. And he's like, dude, you have no idea. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, all you got to do is drive for the guy. And he's like, no, I have to have his coffee and his breakfast on his fucking seat in the fucking morning. I have to, like, clean his room and make his bed and all this bullshit. I was like, wait, what? And he was like, go. I was like, fuck that, dude. You're a grown-ass man. I don't make my bed, let alone make yours, motherfucker.
He's just horrible, and every he was just
he was bad.
Shitty
I will say this and you guys probably don't know this. So Sergeant Major Kirkover and I go back a very, very long way. And when I say that, so he walked me through the mountains as a Ranger student. And then when I got to Bragg as a captain, he was the operations sergeant in the S3 shop when I was a battalion S4. And then he was my first sergeant for the first probably 14 months of my 2-year command. And then I come back to Bragg, and he is the command sergeant major in the battalion where I'm the S3 and the XO. So
say what they want.
We can do a whole podcast
moments, but he was at least he always like that when you talk about live the standard.
I love that
of the time.
I absolutely.
Like,
you can
Kirkover, it'd be like
Kirkover. I fucking
Iraq. You remember Nick? And it's like Kirkover would come over to us. He's like, "Hey, troops, do you want to go to lunch?" You know, we were in Kuwait, ready to go into Iraq, and we're like, "Man, that 5-minute walk to the chow hall is going to take 30 minutes because he didn't give a fuck." Air Force guy not wearing the patrol cap, Marine, hands in his pockets, but it was constant though, and you had to respect that. It never it was.
I actually have a hard stop. You guys can keep going, but I got to bounce. I got to leave
too.
Family.
Yeah.
But
we have a reunion.
My favorite Kirkover story was we had a real hard field problem, and it was real bad weather. We were about to be done, and we're all done, like toast, right? So we're kind of sitting in the back of this LMTV, all out of fucking uniform, right? Thinking we're out where nobody's gonna see us. We're tucked away in the woods somewhere, and I see fucking Herb coming. I see Sergeant Herb. I'm an E5. I'm like, I take my fucking rank off like that. I was the only one in uniform, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, he's like, what kind of goddamn National Guard unit we got sitting back here? And I'm like, he's like, where are the NCOs at? I'm like, not my proudest moment, but I was a young E5, and I'm like, I know what he's about to yell at us for. So it
was good though. He cared, man.
I'm private control to me.
Yeah, he did. He did care. You know what? And you talk about the guy with the sleeves rolled in. Alpha Company had 2 or 3 guys that were sitting down. They were in the basement right there by Solder City, and King walked in. And he put them, they had their sleeves rolled in and didn't have iPro on. They were literally on their bunk. He put them in his truck on his convoy, drove them to loyalty, and then had them in front of Kirkover and was fucking ripping Kirkover a new asshole because they were fucking not following the standard, this, that, and the other. Kirkover's like, okay, whatever. Put him in the back of his truck, drove him back, and was like, and King had fired him, and he was like, get in the truck, go back, you're good. Just guy's an asshole. Don't know what to say.
Oh, yeah, we could go on. We could go on for hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
listen, guys, thank you.
Go buy his books.
I enjoyed the shit out of it. I really did.
If you ever
I'll
want
come
to
back anytime you guys ask. I'm in.
I'll put you on the guest host roster. We'll come in and we'll fire it up against somebody else. Yeah.
Anytime.
All right, guys. I really got to book it though. Love you guys.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
See y'all later. Chris, close us out.
Is he there?
We'll catch you guys next weekend.
All right. Now it's just weird. Now we're
now we're just
Yeah.
Oh, let me call this guy. Yeah, but that was good. Might as well keep talking because Chris is not doing his job right now, and everybody's still watching. Hey, if you tuned in late, go check out VeteranTrashTalk.com. That is our website, which has the plugs to everything. Go to shop.VeteranTrashTalk.com. That has all of our merch. Today, I'm wearing one of our OG shirts.
I need some merch, man.
Veteran Trash Talk. Yep.
Dude,
Oh, we got all kinds of awesome shirts. Yeah, go check it out. And then go to YouTube, give us a subscribe, give us a like, and then buy the damn book. This was a great show. And I think Chris fell asleep. I think Nick was actually probably supposed to close us out, buddy, and he didn't.
That's all right. I guess if we all leave, it'll close out on its own.
It will.
Oh shit.
Hey, one last thing for you guys. If you have any interest ever again in jumping static line in your civilian life, come talk to me. I jump with a group down in Florida called Phantom Airborne Brigade 3 or 4 times a year out of a C-47. We jump round canopy static line. It's a fucking blast. You'll love it.
Oh, I'd do that.
I'm going next month. I'm going in March, or actually this month.
Are you on social media? You on Facebook or anything?
Who, me? Yeah, I'm all over.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Come find
I'm
me.
gonna add you.
Yep.
All right, guys. Love y'all.
All right. I'm out.
All right. See you guys later.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.